My daughter's stepmother made my life hell for 10 years now. She expects my help. My ex-husband, X, and I split up before our daughter, M, was 1 year old. The split was both our fault. He was physically abusive and I was self-medicating with prescription drugs. I went to rehab right after we split to start trying to build a new life as a single mom. My ex and I worked out a visitation schedule outside of court, and we did the best we could to co-parent our daughter with minimal drama. I know that he had hopes of reconciliation when I got clean, but I was unwilling to jump back into the toxic dumpster fire of a relationship, so we each started seeing other people. Around my daughter's 2nd birthday, I started getting calls from friends/family who told me that they had received friend requests on social media from a woman, WS, they had never met. They all went out of their way to tell me about these requests because the woman's profile was covered in pictures of her and my daughter. In the end, I found out WS sent friend requests to my preacher's wife, multiple friends, my dead best friend's mother, the person I was dating at the time, and my sponsor. It felt like I was being hunted. I finally worked up the nerve to look at WS's profile myself, and I saw that she had 2 children of her own, boys, but there were no recent pictures of them on her page, just pics of her and my daughter. I was freaked out and decided to ask my ex to tell WS to stop contacting my friends/family. He essentially told me that I was overreacting because I was jealous of WS and refused to address the issue. I decided to make all of my social media accounts private. A year later, when my daughter was in preschool, my ex asked me to give up one of my nights with M so that they could both attend his family member's school performance as a family. I always tried to be flexible, so I agreed. The night of the performance, I saw a Facebook post that M's preschool was also hosting a performance, and my spidey senses started tingling. I called my ex and texted him several times, but there was no response. I also called my parents to tell them my suspensions. I knew something was up, so I got in my car and drove to M's preschool, where I found a parking lot full of cars at 7 p.m. I walked into the cafeteria and immediately locked eyes with my ex. He was sitting at a table with his parents, my daughter, and the woman who had been stalking me, WS. I found out that my daughter's performance was already over, and that he lied about where M would be that night so that he could bring his new girlfriend, WS, to the event. My ex looked like a deer in the headlights after being caught red-handed, and he immediately passed my daughter to his father and said, "Get her out." His father practically ran from the cafeteria with my daughter in his arms like she was in witness protection. Like he needed to protect her from me. I told my ex to come outside and talk to me, and we started arguing in the parking lot. After a short, heated argument, my ex fled like a coward as soon as my dad pulled into the parking lot. To this day, I don't think I've ever been as angry as I was in that moment. My ex had a lengthy history of lying to my parents to punish me/get them on his side whenever we had a blow-up. True to form, he did the same thing after the incident at her preschool, even going so far as to tell my parents that the school administration had to call the cops on me for cussing him out in the cafeteria. Neither of those things ever happened. I set up a meeting with the preschool the following day to explain to the administrators what really happened. When my ex found out about that meeting, he immediately pulled my daughter out of school without telling me. Fast forward a few months later, M told me that she was going to a new preschool in a different town. I immediately asked my ex for the school calendar so that I could attend any events, but he said he was never given a calendar. He also refused to tell me the name or location of the school, so I was unable to pick her up. After a month or of him ignoring my requests, I finally got fed up and started digging to find out where the school was. When I had the name of the school, I quickly found out that WS worked at the school as a teaching assistant. Once again, my spidey sense starts telling me that he's up to something. In hopes of avoiding another scene, I asked my mother to go up the new school to get a copy of the calendar from the school office. My mom asked the front desk person for a copy of the calendar, but the office worker refused to hand it over because she wasn't listed in M's file as a parent/guardian. Right after my mom leaves the new school office, I get an angry text from my ex saying that my mother cussed out the office worker at the school and they would be calling the police. I've never once heard my mother curse in my entire life, so I knew that was yet another false accusation, but I couldn't figure out why he would lie. The last thing I wanted was for my daughter's new school to think my family was loud or abusive, so I called the school to set the record straight. I introduced myself to the person who answered the phone as M's mother, and the person who answered said that was impossible because M's mother works at the school. I corrected her and told her that I would be happy to send over a copy of M's birth certificate to prove I was M's biological mother, and that is when my ex's house of cards started to fall. It turns out that my ex and his GF lied to the school when they enrolled M so that she would get free tuition. He lied about my mother's behavior at the school to try and keep me from contacting the school myself, thereby blowing their cover story. Needless to say, WS was fired immediately after I showed the school M's birth certificate. I was sick of my daughter being harmed by my ex and his GF's behavior, so I finally took him to court and we eventually agreed on an official custody order. It's been several years since both of those incidents, but my ex and his GF's behavior only got worse. WS insisted on M calling her mom just a few months after they started dating. They moved in together shortly after that. When M was diagnosed with a severe food allergy, WS said she was faking and deliberately fed her the food she is allergic to test her. WS refused to allow my daughter to bring anything from my home into their house, including the Build-A-Bear I had just bought M for her birthday. She lost the brand new iPhone I bought M for Christmas, even though I cleared it with my ex beforehand. She told M that there were bugs in my home. She cussed me out in front of M when I picked her up from my ex's house one day because I left some shoes that M had previously forgotten at my house on their front porch. WS and my ex repeatedly refused to hand M over for my scheduled periods of possession, so I had to call the police and file police reports. This last one is more weird and petty than it is malicious, but WS has a habit of buying the same shoes I have immediately after she sees me wearing them. She always chooses a different color than the ones I bought, but exact same brand and style. This has happened at least 6 different times that I can think of off the top of my head. Through it all, I have refused to say anything negative about my ex or WS in front of my daughter. Like many couples, my ex and WS got married during the pandemic. My partner and I have been together for 7 years now, and M is a joyful piece of our little family. Over the past several months, M has told me and my partner that my ex and WS have been fighting a lot. 2 months ago, I got a tearful call from M, begging me to come pick her up right now because they were fighting again. My ex called me immediately to ask if I could take M for the week because he had just caught WS cheating on him. M eventually told me that she had known about the cheating for months because WS was talking to randos on Snapchat in front of her. When M told her dad about the Snapchat messages, WS tried to gaslight M and told her that she was mistaken. I had hopes that WS was on her way out of our lives. Unfortunately, it was just a temporary reprieve. He went right back to her. My partner and I have become increasingly concerned about M-. Her grades were falling and she kept getting in trouble at school. We started to strategize on how to get primary custody of M through the courts, and I got her set up with a therapist. 3 days ago, I get a text from WS at 5 a.m. asking me to call her. Until that morning, she has never once contacted me directly. WS ends up telling me that my ex was arrested for domestic violence against her in the middle of the night and that I needed to come pick up my daughter ASAP. She also told me that she requested an order of protection against my ex, and the order also listed M as a protectee. WS is now texting me daily, asking me to report to her on my ex's movements and everything he says in hopes of using that info against him in their divorce. I want so badly to scream, "Do you even remember how you've treated me for the last decade?" At her, but I don't because I know what it's like to be abused by your spouse. I remember exactly how scary it is. I'm also loath to do or say anything that could negatively impact my daughter, so I feel that I have no choice but to keep my mouth shut and let WS think that I'm on her side. Maybe one day I'll take the opportunity to remind WS about all the shitty things she did to me and my daughter, but for now, I appreciate you lovely people letting me vent. This was stupid long. Thanks for sticking with me.